Welcome back to the channels. This is the Casuals. I'm Jin.
And I'm Saki.
Today's episode is, well, it's not really, I guess, an episode. It's more like an intermission, I guess. So today, I guess, would be very close to, I think it's almost one day off, if I'm correct, from the 1.5, I guess, quote unquote anniversary, or 1.5 years of doing this channel. And I remember when I was first talking to you about this, doing this kind of video, you were kind of confused because you were like, this kind of concept is unusual because I think you thought it was half anniversary, first anniversary, and then second anniversary. There was no 1.5 or after that, all right? And there was no half after that first half.
Yeah, at least I don't know. I've never really seen anyone else do like a 1.5. So I guess I was like, oh, I guess it's different. I mean, I don't know how many people do like 1.5s or 2.5s or whatever. So
Yeah, and the reason why this even happened was because I'm used to video games doing this kind of stuff, live service video games to be specific. Um, Not the ones where if you just buy like let's say Pokemon, they don't do half anniversaries as far as I'm aware, because it's just a pre-made game that you get with occasional patches to either fix some stuff, but that's about it. Live service games tend to have hallmarks or checkpoints to celebrate something in order to keep people, coming back to the game. And so that's why I am so used to and so familiar to the 1.5, like, all the halves being there. Um, and so I was just like, let's just do it. It's kind of interesting because at first it may not seem much, but in my opinion, 6 months is a lot or 6 months is enough time for a lot to change. Um, I don't know how if it applies for us yet, but you know, I personally feel like I changed more than I expected, to be honest. I did a lot of things in the past 6 months that were crazy to me. Um, so that's why I kind of wanted to do this point five, because I think there's also an interesting contrast in what we do together versus what we do in our own personal time. And we made this channel to talk about all the things in our adventures and what we did, and possibly like any new adventures that come along, such as a Japan trip like we did recently. Um, and I think one thing that people don't realize, or not realize, but I think one of the things that social media tends to do is they often portray their lives as doing something interesting or doing something with others all the time, when in fact that's not true. There's a lot of, well, I would say that's not true because there are certainly individuals who hang out once in a while, do all that crazy stuff at once, and then like go kind of on their own again for another, like, say, couple months or something like that. That was me for a while. um and for you, I guess, Saki, I think for you personally, I think you were kind of that person, if I'm correct, right? Like where you would do one thing big once in a while and then it just be kind of stable for the rest of the time until another big thing comes up.
yeah, that's how I usually did things. It was like one major event, maybe a couple small things throughout the year, but nothing too crazy. Usually one major event though.
For me personally, I kind of tried changing that. I flew out, I guess, in February to meet up with, or March, I believe, actually. Yeah, it was in March, I think. I flew out to meet up with a couple of dudes that I've never met before. I had a blast. I would never imagine doing that. I mean, in May, um, April, May, I guess, immediately went off to Japan with Yusaki, which was another crazy part of my life. And then recently I decided, like, I'm gonna go to a convention center. Fuck it, with a friend of mine again. And past me, like even 1 year ago, I wouldn't have done this. And this really comes from the fact that I wanted to change something in my life. And I kind of like started getting the attitude of, more of an attitude of like, just do it, you know? Um, Regret will come later if it happens. But the one thing that sucks is that if you don't do it and you regret not doing it. And this isn't something that everyone should do because you should do what makes you happy. And for me, this is actually making me a lot more happier than I thought. And so, why does this tie into the casuals? Well, this ties into the casuals because the casuals is really the first stepping point in my life, I guess, where I wanted to try something truly different. I never before the casuals even existed as a concept, I never really imagined actually truly going through and making videos like this. Even though it's dead simple, like there's no real editing involved. No real like true effort as someone may say, but it was still something that I never imagined doing, which is making a video and then talking and putting it on YouTube. That was just something simply I never fathomed to do. And yet here I am, 1.5 years later, continuing doing, the casuals with Yusaki. And I still find it kind of surreal. 1.5 years, like 1.5 years ago, feels like yesterday, honestly. What about you? Does 1.5 years ago feel like a short time?
Honestly, this has been going by very fast. Like, yeah, like again, it's already 1.5 years later. Like, I remember we had this concept, like, I guess 1.5 years to 2 years ago, and we're still going through it. And I was kind of shocked that we're still going through it because honestly, I thought we'd run out of content by then, but I don't know. Here we are.
I remember being in your room discussing this. Remember? We were in your room discussing what name we should make.
Oh yeah, we had a bunch of random names. I don't know how we landed on casuals.
It was because of your friend group. I remember. You called yourselves the casuals, if I'm correct, and so I was just like, that sounds great. Let's go with it.
Yeah, my old high school friend group, because we kind of just did this kind of the same thing. We didn't upload anything, but our lives were very casual. Huh. We went to school, then sometimes we would, play some basketball at the park or something. Just no big events or anything crazy, just casual life.
I think
And
it's. Uh huh. Go ahead.
I guess that's how we just ended up with that name.
Yeah. I think what's kind of crazy is that so much has. I guess we did quite a bit in the last year and a half. Um, Compared to what we were doing before, right? Where it truly was kind of recently where we were going to school. And then after school, it was kind of like work for a while, for you at least. And then suddenly, you were in Japan.
Yeah, we were discussing Japan a couple years ago. Then I got a job. You were finishing up school. And then you're like, okay, done with school. Should we do something? And we're like, oh, it'd be nice to go to Japan. And then we're like, we should go to Japan. And then we literally started planning it. And I was like, oh, that was just spur of the moment, kind of like, let's go.
I don't think people realize just how, I guess, precious time is. I mean, I'm sure people do understand, but I think for kids, right? For kids and teenagers, time doesn't go by as fast as being an adult. Because I remember being in high school, 1 year was an eternity for me. Going to school, taking all these classes, it was a slog, you know? But now that I'm an adult, 1 year just passed, 1.5 years rather, since the creation of this channel, just passed in a blink of an eye. I genuinely feel like it just doesn't feel like it's been 1.5 years. It still feels like we're on the first year.
I don't know. For me, it feels. I guess since we did the 1 year video,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. My brain is kind of put that whole year aside. And it's like, okay, now we're on year two, and then so I think once year two video hits, then I'll be like, whoa, it's been 2 years already. And then again, when the third year video hits and we're like, whoa, it's been 3 years.
I think what's even going to be crazier is that 6 months from now, you're going to be like, I remember talking about this 6 months ago, and it's already year 2.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Man, things are crazy. Things are crazy. And it is always tough to predict what you're gonna do in the future. As Saki said, we were kind of like we were uncertain whether or not it was even gonna continue after the first year. Because we did have some sort of, I guess, general idea of how much content we had, but we didn't realize how much we can make and how much more we can make. And whether or not we follow through with it is a completely different story. But I know that you've had a couple ideas that you had in mind that I personally do want to try out. And so I guess, do you want to just share it here?
Yeah, we can give a little preview, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess a new idea for some videos I had was doing game challenges. So that would be, we'd pick a game that we could both play, preferably like something that's not, online against other people, something with a campaign, story. And then we do it on the hardest difficulty and try to do it in one life. And I think the first one we thought of was Halo.
Mm-hmm.
So we would take on like one of the Halo campaigns, put it on, I think, Legendary. And then I think that is a thing where like if the main like host dies, I think you start over or something. Or you start like the last checkpoint or whatever, but this time it's like if one of us dies, it's just should we start the level over?
The video just ends right there, dude. Like 2 minutes in, like I get killed by like walking over a rock or something.
Yeah, you just trip. Oh yeah, so that was one idea. And maybe if it has like Borderlands where there's like a lot of side things you can do, maybe we do a couple of those, see if we can do it, I forget their level difficulties, but the hardest difficulty for them.
Ultimate Vault Hunter, I believe.
Oh, I think, yeah, for at least 2 was Ultimate, and then they had those overpowered levels later on.
Oh yeah.
So we would just see how far we could get in a series.
Mm-hmm.
That was the main one I had. I forget the other ones.
I think some of them were just like, another one is just like simply doing like puzzle challenges. I forget, it was Ibn Ob.
Oh yeah, playing Ibn Ob. It's like a cartoon like puzzle game where you have to, use teamwork to get through the level. And I remember we did play like a level just get the hang of it, and I remember we kind of sucked.
We sucked so bad. Personally, I am very stupid, so sometimes I wouldn't even be able to figure out what the puzzle was even about. I'm just like, what is this,
Yeah. It would take us like 10 minutes to get past this one section where it probably shouldn't have taken like more than a minute to figure it out, but our genius.
We're so genius that we take 10 times the amount it should solve.
It's a little children's like cartoon puzzle game. You think it'd be easy. I mean, I'm sure it is, but not to us apparently.
I think that's one of the more like worrying things is that like as you grow older and you see all these like, I guess brain activities for children, you're like, how do you solve that? And you're like, oh no.
There's got to be a game. Are you smarter than a 5th grader? And we're not going to be smarter than a 5th grader.
We are not going to be smarter than a 5th grader. I remember saying that when I was in like junior high, and I was like, what the hell are these questions? I
was gonna say, I think I need the game. Are you smarter than like a 1st grader? I
What
can maybe.
is, what is Newton's third law? You're just like, what?
Who's Newton?
The only Newton I know is from, what was it, Bill Nye the Science Guy? I don't remember where that reference was from. But I'd imagine I would fail at, like, I would genuinely fail at Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader?
Oh, I would too. I would not be able to get through that. I know I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, it's certainly a rough thing to experience when you feel so dumb. I guess there is an expectation to be held at a certain age.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's a couple of ideas. Another idea I have is just simply actually recording more gameplay, because the only game that we actually recorded so far was Power Wash Simulator, and that in itself isn't really gameplay. It's more like having a commentary alongside gameplay, and I do want to kind of try and change that. The reason why it's been put off so much is because I feel like I'm still woefully unprepared for what it is to come to actually record a full-on session. And I don't know, I genuinely do not know how I'm gonna go about it. Because again, this whole channel was made on somewhat of a whim, and it was first conceived as an idea for a podcast type thing. And to transition out of, I guess, somewhat of a comfort zone, it's gonna be rough, but I do want to try and change myself, for one. But also, I just do want to try more things. Whether or not I go through it, we'll have to see, and I will try and push for it. At the very least, we'll do the game challenges that Saki wants, which is hardest difficulty, 1 life only. Because that sounds like a hell of a time to do things. But as for the rest, I will try and meet those, I guess, expectations that I put on myself right now, and see if I can, do it. We'll just have to see. I guess one thing I want to ask Saki is, do you have any expectations for the next 6 months?
Honestly, I'm not really. I'm sure we'll, at least finish this year with content that we kind of make up at like the day before or the day of. kind of how we've been doing it.
Yup.
I at least expect it to make it to 2 years now that we have a couple more ideas.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we can. I'm just hoping my idea of the game challenges like doesn't flop and we like die like like couple seconds into a game or something.
We gotta take 5 minutes just to move 1 feet.
Yeah, because your playstyle and my playstyle are so different. I feel like one of us is gonna die from something stupid.
Yeah.
So I hope that can at least last a while. That'd be pretty. I think that would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to wait and see how it how it really goes.
Yeah. So this one has been rather, I guess, a good checkpoint, right? For being a half an or 1.5, 1.5 years in. Who knows where this will take us, honestly. At first, I thought I knew when we first started the channel, I thought I knew where it was going to take us. Turns out I was completely wrong. And now it's just more like, I guess we'll see what happens. And I hope it's good. So, I guess cheers to whoever keeps on watching our videos. I'm kind of surprised that people are sticking around, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know where our views are coming from, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, like even if it's just 1 or 2 views, it's still like that's 1 or 2 more people than I did not expect.
Yeah, we expect zero. We expected, well, yeah, because when we first started, we thought it was just for us.
Yeah. And like to be honest, there's no I don't put hashtags in the video. I don't put like we don't even have a profile picture or a channel banner. Our channel is literally bare bones basic. And somehow people stumble upon their way here.
That I'd like to know how people found it. That is probably the rarest thing you could do is just find this random channel of two guys talking about random stuff. Like, what do you search into YouTube? Just like po- random podcasts or something? Like,
I know for sure YouTube should not be recommending our channels on like the the homepage. There's no way we get it recommended.
yeah, no, there's no way.
So yeah, let us know whoever if you ever want to comment. Like oh, we're genuinely curious how we even ended up in your peripherals.
Or what you searched or how you got here.
True.
I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah. Yeah, let us know. But I'll be ending it here. So I'm Jin.
And I'm Saki.
And this is The Casuals, and we will see you next time. Bye.